Let's fade out the music. And I'll switch to the in-game music. Hello everybody, welcome to round 3 of DGG 05. We've got 3 sets of games today. Let's have a look. First up in the upper bracket, we've got Agent Cypher 19, known third place getter, here versus Kopiuyt, who I bumped into in a Duelist 2 tournament. Pretty cool. Afterwards, we've got Colexiel, the one who instigated the whole tournament. He's like, yo, when's the next tournament? Let's go. Versus me. So we'll see how that goes. 1 deck versus 2. And finally, we got Mushymango versus the Face. Some really cool decks all around. All kinds of gimmicks. But let's start from here. So Agent Cypher could be running the Cataclysmic Fault style with Xerxes. Could opt to start first with Arcanist, with Shidai. We will be seeing both decks from whoever ends up winning, because we do need to win with both. The other style of rule set we used to do was you got locked into the one deck that you were playing. On the other side, we see Kopiuyt also with Xerxes, not with the Cataclysmic Fault though, this time instead going through all the wishes. And a Fey list that has all kinds of stuff in it. Maybe we'll see some action from Rolling Snowstorm X3 again. Jumping into the first of 6 to 9 games. The last of the upper bracket matches it is Agent Cypher 19 versus Kopiuyt. Jumping into it now. We've got the Destined Ditto. We'll see how Wishes matches up against Fault. Agent Cypher with kind of the mediocre starting hand is going to be able to drop an Azure Herald to keep the Dream Shaper for later. The really sad play is when you drop this Dream Shaper and don't get anything from it on the first turn. Draws a Celebrant, so Agent Cypher's next few turns are definitely hooked up. Kopiuyt to replace all these wishes, gonna start with some Dervishes instead. And here's Pantherin. So Agent Cypher is going to be cheating out a whole bunch of 2-1s, and Kopiuyt's going to be trying to cheat out some 8-8s. This is pretty good obelisk placement too, to put it somewhere out of bashing range. Sometimes you see obelisks behind the general, but then there's a really high chance that the dervishes can't do anything. General in the middle is usually the best. With access to up to 5 mana, is probably going to want to put a Portal Guardian down and a Celebrant, or maybe save some mana. Dream Shaper opens up some options. So gonna take this mana immediately. And get an extra Portal Guardian? No, here's the Dream Shaper to get some more cards. Doesn't need the second Fault, but this seems pretty fine. There is so much mana on the table. Moving the Azure Herald 2 steps to the right just to wall it off. Or even just taking this is pretty good. And then BTA could be dropped to deny the mana. because otherwise it's really easy for Kopiuyt to just take a step down and grab this Mana Spring. Ton of stuff on the board here for Agent Cypher. Kopiuyt's just got the one excellent Obelisk. Bone Swarm is going to have a ton of hits. Check out that value. This is an excellent spell to just throw into your deck if you've got the slot for it. Because sometimes you get hits like that. Could potentially drop a Dunecaster. It's likely going to want to, because otherwise the mana is just wasted. Dunecaster's pretty protected back here. Agent Cypher, despite having such a strong start, is now pretty firmly on the back foot. Especially drawing a Dream Shaper and not getting a Golem to go with it. The only option is to take a Mana Tile and do a Sand Swirl Reader, but I guess the best target for that would be the Wind Dervish. 2 steps up, drop a Whirl. You have to be aware that this card does not target diagonals anymore. But that's fine. Just means that this Obelisk can't get hit. Instead opting for Blood of Air. Just gonna take out that Obelisk immediately. Third Wish could be cast. Doesn't do a lot. Just pushes some damage. It's about 2 more turns until we get Cataclysmic Fault. So maybe Kopiuyt does want to rush damage. Okay, just a spell damage out. Unfortunately, bouncing the Spelljammer means that Kopiuyt still gets double draws, and Agent Cypher is locking himself out of it. But getting that thing off the table and getting a Sand Swirl down, it's probably worth it. This Obelisk puts this Dunecaster into killing range for the Sand Swirl, so that's immediately the play. And it's kind of unfortunate to have to Sand Swirl a center tile, because that means Fault is only working for 4 tiles instead of 5. So turn after turn, Sand Swirling, he's just manually building the fault line. So Silence for Third Wish is probably getting cast on this one in the back to jump it forward for huge bite. Kopiuyt's play is probably to ignore the sand. This reader can flip it. Bounces the other opponent's reader. Okay, so Agent Cypher and Kopiuyt can just keep on adding these funny swirls on the board. But if they just keep trading, Agent Cypher ends up losing in the end due to the health totals, and now getting walled in means there's no fadeaway option. Default is not that great here. These Portal Guardians are incredible, but they're slightly not on time enough that it might not do a thing. Best bet might be sand swirling to make another tile and then using the Celebrant. Because Celebrant actually can convert a sand tile into mana. Problem is, that's too far away. Agent Cypher's just going to try to find the corner. Problem with 2 Portal Guardians is there isn't an Iron Shroud online, so they would only be buffed up from the Sand Dervishes, so the nearby Obelisk gets bounced instead. And having this many Sand Swirls is a pretty good way to recover. Just needs a Condom Ka or something at this point. Doesn't do a whole lot in this current board, but could be useful. But we see with the granting flying with a 3rd wish, really rare spell, and the extra +1 attack with the obelisk in the back, Kopiuyt is getting game number 1. Alright, let's see if Agent Cypher can get there in game number 2. Now that Xerix has cleared it for Kopiuyt, we're going to be seeing some Fae. It features a lot of stunning with stuff like Icy, keeps things in place so the snow hits them. It's got the full suite of all of the Sentinels, so you can never tell which is which. Let's have a closer look. Game number 2, Kopiuyt is currently up 1 match. Wait, I forgot the sound balance. Yeah. Now we won't be blasting. Also, this was not the button to click on. Let's... Game number 2, Kopiuyt versus Agent Cypher 19. And immediately with the snowstorm in hand and a way to copy it, now Agent Cypher has the Ka. And it's going to be a lot better in this matchup, I feel. Because everything will clank off of it. Or can kill it so it can respawn. Raw Earth Sister, just to go for the mana. So Agent Cypher is probably going to go for... Oh, we got a Portal Guardian. Doesn't want to have his board swept away again. So just being annoying with this Alchemist so this General can't go in the middle. finding all these gatekeepers. Doesn't have much for great double play options though. Like, could take a Mana Spring, drop a minion on the top Mana Spring, cast Hailstone, cast a Gatekeeper. Yeah, keeping the enemy off the mana at all costs. Or we're just gonna slash the Guardian, keep a ton of mana around, and here's the Elf. So to counterplay with this thing, you usually want to be anywhere but its column, but Agent Cypher can't just let this mana go to waste. Definitely going to contest it. Riddler just in the Dream Shaper. And this might be a decent game for the Fault. This Gatekeeper is probably coming up for 4 damage though. That's gonna hurt. Kopiuyt has already put 3 damage on this Portal Guardian, so is intending to finish it off with damage. And now it can barely move. Pretty similarly scaled sprites, except on the card art itself. Agent Cypher has so much beef to deal with. These 4 power threats can't just be here. Putting the Sand Swirl diagonally in front of him, which could get hit by the Gatekeeper. I feel like he'd want the Sand Swirl Reader below your General. That way the Gatekeeper doesn't do anything. But as we see, that Gatekeeper's not even here. And this plays around the Fey BBS, of course, because you don't want your stuff vertically stacked. Time for guessing games? No, time for the Elf. But we might get a Sentinel down. Use a Rift Beast for some card draw. Gatekeeper does a pretty good job protecting it. I think it's the Fault turn. Sending Ka out to kill this Rift Beast doesn't sound that great. Putting everything into this Elf doesn't sound good. But running away and casting this huge spell, it's definitely not going to be the play. Cool Obelisk. Gonna be directly on top of Faye. And it spits up pretty high damaging minions. So Kopiuyt's probably gonna have to bust out this Hailstone Prison. And then Icy the other one. So EMP and Hearth Sister are really good ways to get around Gatekeeper's downside. So it is an excellent minion for Vanar. I see. Buys a turn against this Portal Guardian. And using the swap technology just to destroy this obelisk. +1 card from Rift Beast. Gonna be able to stun the Guardian again now having an Avalanche. But it's so susceptible to the EMP, that's probably the next turn play. I would have thought it was Fault turn again. But having this many respawns and getting this many kills, and pumping up this Guardian this much, this also looks pretty good. This Rift Beast is such a problem. Trading the coffer, it definitely seems good. It might have been better to keep the pet alive, because the pet would have just clanked off the Gatekeeper anyway. And then having one more... I don't know, it's a tough call. Because RNG could have messed that up too. Kopiuyt would be absolutely dead if this hand quality wasn't so great. Now this Avalanche is starting to look good. Well, Avalanche ended up not being the play. Infinite Unsummon spell could be what we do next, but the EMP is probably too important to not cast. Because it turns off this Caw, turns off this. And this Gatekeeper can now move diagonally. It's coming. Agent Cypher finds his own EMP, but it only makes it more powerful. So, pretty good Blood of Air timing. Takes care of Kopiuyt's 1 EMP. And everything into the Gatekeeper that's finally taken down. Agent Cypher with the 1 step forward to give himself some more options, just in case. Blood of Air could be copied. This Laurel Master can steal enemy spells. Which would be a rude counter to this other EMP. Well, it won't work now, because of Warbird. Warbird, hell of a thing to copy late game. This Alcuin Fugitive doing a pretty good impersonation of the Bloodborne Mentor. Or Bloodbound Mentor. Way too dangerous to keep alive, so it immediately gets blood-devoured. Even though it's never been the fault turn. Got mesmerized to mess up movement. Funny thing to double with the Lore Master. Mesmerize for that BBS value. You can also use it to shift units off sand tiles, so you can clog it up with other units. Oh, letting these warbirds just rip. And casting Unsummon on the Lord Master to get it back. So that's another warbird in the pocket. It is finally fault turn. There's no 5th Canopic though, and there's no Mage Sworn from Mage and Cypher. So Kopiuyt can run away with the artillery strat. Just needs to survive for a little bit, and Agent Cypher's making that really hard. Because this is way too many dervishes to be eating. Probably wants to take a step down and left. Yeah, getting that excellent BBS value. Just swapping these Hearth Sisters into it every time. And it's only going to take 2 more Warbirds to win. Which is refreshing next turn. Agent Cypher replaces and doesn't find any healing. Needs lethal this turn. But is definitely short by 3. And fortunately for Kopiuyt, only has 2 attacks, so this Ka can't get repeated hits on it. Ka kind of clowns on Voth. As soon as Voth used BBS once, this can hit for each dervish. So even fighting all this off, Kopiuyt's still got 3 health. 1 health! And then kills on the counterattack. Agent Cypher 19 goes down 0-2. Kopiuyt wins the series 2-0. Congratulations, Kopiuyt. We'll be seeing you in the upper bracket. Agent Cypher 19 has not guaranteed 1st or 2nd, so may in fact get 3rd again. The curse might just be way too strong. There might be some kind of plot armor involved. But good games, good games. We'll be seeing Agent Cypher play the person who wins the lower bracket. Speaking of lower bracket, we're going into it now. It is me versus Colexiel. which kind of sounds like saying Colexiel. And as you can see, just has the one list, going to be switching between the two generals. Bit odd. I would expect a bit more specialization between the generals for their individual support cards, but this keeps it pretty simple. Speaking of keeping it simple, I've just got starter decks. I've got some ideas for some changes on this Lilith deck. Some ideas for changes on this Argeon deck too. But I wanted to play them as is, as if a new player was playing it. Going into series number 2, game number 1. Best of 3s all around. I like opening up with Argeon. And then I flip to Lilith for the B side. Colexiel's got this cool Aegis Golem. And hit me with the Snow Chaser emote. I'm taking a long time to decide my turn 0 mulligan though. And I just swapped the one duplicate. So I could do 2-drop, 2-drop, or I could do a single 3-drop. Or, yeah, it's going to be the cat and the 2-3 in the middle. Would have been nice to get this Primus Fist on the cat later for a big buff, but I think the positioning early game is more worth it, because Primus could take the top mana. Colexiel with this awesome Razorcrag Golem. For just 1 more mana, you could get 7 more stats. There's some consideration for dispelling the celerity, but that's such a tiny thing to turn off, it's probably not worth it. It would fit into a turn getting the Aegis Golem out though. So it's either this Biggie or this Razorcrag. Razorcrag's slightly too tough to just die to this Tempest. And Aegis Golem only has invincibility from diagonals or further. So you really want this paired with the Provoke. And here's the Golem. And is going to turn off Celerity just to have a pretty good turn and keeps this mana harder to get. I've got some stuff. Could play the Spelljammer. Playing the Tempest here or this Arclight Sentinel is a really good way to clean the board a bit. Arclight Regalia has been found. It's too early to push face on that now though, because it'll immediately fall off when these minions hit me. So I need to whittle down the board first. I could take a diagonal step, put down the Silverguard Knight, and then immediately Tempest it. Cooking my own knight doesn't sound great though. Tempest though sounds incredible, so I'm just gonna rip that and call it a turn. Oh, astral phasing is the thing that you want to combo with specifically this Wild Tar or this Razorcrag Golem. And a Blood of Air too, so this is kind of some kind of perfect hand. Like, this Razorcrag could be dropped in the back. The Wild Tar is probably better if there were more minions out. But on an empty board, I feel like the Razorcrag is the way to get things moving the fastest. You can't leave it too close to me though, because I'm just going to slash it with the Regalia. The play might be take 2 steps to the right and Golem in the corner. That kind of telegraphs that you've got the flying spell specifically though. Makes a play for the mana tile. This seems pretty good. So 6 and 5 mana don't mean anything different to me, but I'm just gonna grab the mana anyway. And actually I can roar this too. So 5/5 Spelljammer in the back. Kind of terrified of doing any attacking when there's this Wild Tar out. Don't want to see this pig get big. And he puts it in the corner. Here's the formation. Gets even the other option for the combo. The quality constraint here can make this a 10-10 that is undispellable. Because it's some kind of transform spell. Myself, I can't do a whole lot in terms of clearing the board anymore. And if I try to push damage, this pig's gonna hit for 5. And there's extreme danger waiting for me. Yeah, I do a formation that I figure is frenzy proof. So it's probably time for phasing. Probably also time for a quality constraint. Just put all eggs in the single basket. Flying buffed, what would it be? 10, 15? I do have Martyrdoms in the deck though, so Colexiel's probably thinking about how to play around those too. Could give the Golem the buff and the pig flying. The pig, in fact, does not fly. This Golem, though, going straight for face. Trading the Wild Tar just for the pip of Regalia. So is on the hook to finish it with his face. And here's a Provoker to keep things locked down. I can turn off the Provoke though, but I don't have lethal. Or do I? No, I've got 9. Oh, here's the cat. Big cat's here. 5-5 rush. If I wait one more turn, it could be a 7-5 rush. So since I don't see lethal this turn, I'm gonna figure out a cat lethal for next turn. Also, I need to not die in one hit. That's kind of important. So rather than dispel, we're just gonna go for damage to clear it. And anything I drop could just turn into a dervish. So I don't want to be slashing here. And I place this knight so far away that even if it does get dervished, it can't immediately trade for my jammer. Sirocco gets swapped. More flying technologies here. Has the option to dissension my unit, but we're gonna see Blood of Air. I'm at 5 hit points. 3 hit points. Yep. Love to replace and find some more of these late game. And as we can see, Colexiel does not have a way to deal with the second cat. So it's just coming in to get the kill on me. Oh, I needed to fade back a little more there. Or perhaps some other misplays along the way, but Colexiel getting game 1 against me. Maybe I was playing through my turns a little quickly there and wasn't thinking through those plays. I definitely was sizing up my cats a little more than my own health bar. Don't get distracted by the cats. I guess is the lesson of that one. Going into game number 2. Colexiel currently up 1-0. Very slightly deck. Pretty similar, but just Zerik's different. So I've got another choice here for openers. Instead of doing the 2-drop, 2-drop, I'm just going to go for the Silver Guard and eat the center mana. The other option there was putting it on the bottom diagonal to put pressure on this golem, or to put it on the top one to go for this other mana. But both of those leave the center open, which against this kind of deck could be immediately punished by stuff like Metallurgists and Dreamweavers, or Dream Shapers. This is an excellent thing to dispel though, so this early Shroud is looking a lot better. But instead of dispelling, we can see the Wild Tar go down as kind of a different way to prevent me from doing anything. But I've got the Tempest in hand. I'm just gonna clear the board again. This is my MVP in the matchup, because Siroko's lurking around. Colexiel with the 2-piece combo here, once he's got 6 mana, can drop a provoking invincible golem potentially. Not having it this turn though means that play just kind of falls out, so instead gonna golem and then draw 2 cards. Siroko's cooking, heat level 4. Gonna probably be 5 or 6 by the time it actually hits. And I finally have an opportunity to roar my cat. This Azurite Lion now hitting for double damage. So I'm considering, is this worth 8 damage to the general, or do we just kill an Aegis Golem along the way? Why don't we do both? Plus a Holy Immo. I decided to race this game. Pass my 5 mana turn with Colexiel at 6. So now Colexiel's gonna want to run away, wall back, see if this Razorcrag can get online. Or hope for good spawns with Sirocco. Razorcrag in the face. Prevents me from taking the 2 steps to the left that I want. This is a hell of a thing to trade. Just half my health bar to get this 1 minion off the table. And if the Silverguard Knight is too close, or anywhere it goes, it could just be dispelled immediately. Well, might as well make the opponent use it. And a cat in the back, just to be extra pressuring. Colexiel's stuck, but is going to want to drop this Ephemeral Shroud. This was supposed to be the mana turn for the Aegis Golem and the Vanquisher, but I'm kind of messing up that plan for him. Doesn't have a way to really get away from this lion unless it gets eaten by the golem, but that's 10 damage not going to my face, so I'd like that. So SGKs are a great thing to silence. And the Celerity minion is off the table. And placing like this, so I can't even attack this Razorcrag if I want. Gives Colexiel a turn to draw a spell like this to buff it up. Seems pretty dire, but I have Tempest and Blood Tear Alchemist in terms of secret damage. I see lethal. Just give this thing a roar and BTA to finish it off. Pushing it to game number 3. Take that. Lilith wants to play. Alright, tying up the series 1-1 versus Colexiel. And the Lilith deck in particular isn't on that slide. We've got one of my favorite combos to do with this is Lady Lock into Shadowstalk. You just get the Wraithling behind each of their units that has +1/+1 provoke. Plus, it's got a lot of other stuff. A bunch of 1Xs of stuff. Got the 1X Grimoire, 1X Grasp of Agony to get rid of potentially a pack of units, 1X Ritual Banishing, and of course you gotta have your 3X Chakram to cash in on this giant massive units. Going into game number 3 of series number 2. This one's the decider. Someone's getting eliminated. Colexiel's got a really wicked opening hand. I've got some good stuff too, but a lot of late game pieces. Wraithling Swarm is fun to see early though. So when you've got 2 Celebrants, 1 Dreamshaper, and a Golem Metallurgist, player 1, only a single thing can be dropped, and it's probably the Celebrants. And it's probably diagonally placed to go for a mana, but where does the mana get dropped? Like one... It would have to be placed backwards, because I'm a spammy deck. Instead opting for the Metallurgist, which is probably the better choice, because a random Celebrant Orb, I could definitely take it if I wanted. I'm gonna do my best impersonation of a Vanar opener. And I get that nasty Metallurgist off the table. So I've got a couple options here. We got Soul Grimoire to give me +6 attack. No, it'll only be +4. I can only force 2 deaths this turn. And we got some unit generation. Inkling Surge also being a card draw that's free, so I'm gonna go for the mana with it. Bloodbound Mentor, gonna be really nice next turn. I don't really want my Wraithlings to be trading, so they're just hanging out. So my BBS was refreshing next turn. I decided to get a cast out of it immediately. The other option there was just drop the Bloodbound somewhere. Bloodbound in the back actually probably would have been pretty nice, because the Shroud wouldn't be able to reach it. But I'm just basically banking that I can find the Chakram next turn, or the Soul Grimoire actually. If I just cast it next turn, I would get such a huge buff. Colexiel can't be really mana efficient with this Wild Tar. It's really good against my deck. We can be mana efficient by collecting a tile of mana immediately. Yeah, and now this tar could potentially have flight or... Well, generally it's only the flying spell you throw on it. I have a lot of things that attack, so this thing's attack becomes basically infinite. So I guess the strat is run away. Because if you try to clear it with your general, you end up taking 10 damage. So I'm jamming the spam, and then moving up here. Just so the pig can't take 2 steps to the right. And I draw a Chakram! It's a turn too late, but it's gonna be so good as long as I have a board. Colexiel's got Sirocco for 4. And is making every effort to clear as much as possible. Definitely the way you play around the deck. So Roko for 4, and most of it is right on top of my Bloodbound Mentor. Chakram, I can't benefit from it immediately. It would only help clear a couple golems, but not get me out of where I am. So I replace and find a second copy of it. I have a lot of Wraithling generation though. I can make 5. But being this close to the Wild Tar complicates where I'm placing them. Best option, I think, is to... yeah, Diagonal Step. And then Cryptographer somewhere down here. And then BBS. And these are pretty good spawns. They can't both be hit by the tar. And I did a replace earlier that turn. Might have been better to replace this instead. I've got a lot of Wraithlings I can drop though. The Grimoire doesn't quite do anything yet. I could get 3 procs with it and hit for 8. Which would be okay, but it's not pushing the game. So I'm setting up for the kill next turn with Chakram. These golems, though, are definitely going to be able to diffuse my swarm pretty well. Replaces and finds an astral phasing, or draws it off the Dream Shaper, which really opens up options. Huge 5-kill frenzy. Even managing to get out the Mentor. So that turn went a lot worse for me than I would have hoped. I'm just Lilith without a board. I have a lot of tools to rebuild this board though. Not a lot of tools to deal with a flying pig. I'm gonna need to draw my 1x Ritual Banishing. And at this point I'm feeling that that should be 3x, but I'm really happy to draw a Shadow Dancer. Only problem is I'm not going to have many shadows to dance with. Ten Razor Craig in the face. And there's basically no draw that gets me out of this. Virtual Banishing even is too late. Urya, eliminated again. I'm gonna equip both my artifacts and then use my general appropriate emote. Well played, Colexiel! I'm eliminated again. But grats to Colexiel, will be going on to face the winner of our next match. Our next match being Mushymango versus Indubitablement. Or, we can just call him the face. Call him O_O. Who knows? Maybe we'll come up with new nicknames per season. We see a lot of artifacts focus with the Mushymango setup. And with what the face has got rocking, it's a lot of Arcanist with Kara and Apex with Starhorn. Cheat out some 9-drops and stuff. Going into our last best of 3 of the day. This one's also for elimination. Best of luck to ya all. Mushymango with the monolithic vision. And this Desert Scout. Excellent turn 1 minion. This really complicates movements, because the turn after it can always zip forward and bonk something, and the counterplay is you approach it. Because it needs at least 2 tiles to dash. It's really hard for it to do that on turns other than the opening ones, but even if it took 2 steps down, it couldn't dash enough to get the free bash. Mushymango going for the Dio in the face. To the face. And this Illusionist off the table. Cuts off any hope that the face had at grabbing this bottom mana. Really good timing to get a Lightbender though, because dispelling this Dio turns off a lot of its back end. Doesn't solve the 5-3 though, so gonna just build a board instead. Mushymango could get choppy with the Spelkils. Dio coming in 5 to the face. Slight buff on the Desert Scout so it can trade with this Cryptographer easily. And BBS to take out this Arcanist, right? Yeah. Turns out to be the perfect BBS for the situation. And a Healing Mystic to keep Dio going. Firestarter is incredible if you can keep Kinetic Surging it, especially later in the game. For this turn though, it's probably Lightbender, which if it gets placed diagonally, it would immediately get bonked by the Desert Scout. Oh, this is good placement for it to get bonked by the Desert Scout. So we're probably going to be seeing Gravity Wall. Mucks everything up. Doesn't have the mana also to pump it all up, but it's at least gonna have that next turn. Oh, Mushymango replaces finds Thunderclap. Can start getting copies of walls or other stuff. Too bad stealing a provoke wall doesn't do a whole lot. But gonna spend the turn just to get this gravity wall off. Now we've got 2 Dealtis in pretty killer position. Pretty simple to Lightbender it though. But it might not be the best turn to do that. Because it only leaves 2 leftover mana, which is not enough for Gravity Wall and to pump it up. And this Kinetic Surge is cooling down next turn, so you generally want to use it this turn if it's got a 1 above it. Excellent removal option, Aspect of the Mountains. Mushymango might be happy to finally cast a Crusader on 4. Yeah, there it is. Usually he replaces these to get them on 1. But the time for pushing lethal damage is here, because 2 chops does it. Decently susceptible to silence though. How is this Astral Crusader dealt with? Just Gravity Wells? Gravity Wells are also a way to keep the tombstones in place. Maybe double Gravity Wall? Or double buff the Gravity Wall with the Crypto? Saving the Crypto for next turn with Firestarter specifically might be really strong, because that's a really good 8 mana sequence. Well, it's an even better 9 mana one. Firestarter though, not big enough to tangle with this Crusader. Gonna go for it anyway. Because the Spell Sparks will deal with this Desert Scout if they get good spawns. And it's time for the wall. Does buy a turn to deal with this Crusader later. 5th Canopic would be pretty strong here. Even stronger though, Blood of Airing. So getting this Firestarter off the table. Yeah, and that let the Astral Crusader come in for a hit. The face lost half his health in 1 blow. Doesn't have any more Gravity Wells to get this guy off him. No Dispel. Could turn into a 5/5. But that's not great, so it's just gonna hide behind the existing walls. Surging out a Cloud Caller. So a Snowball got thrown, or a Water Ball for 4. Yeah, so the face wants to just get this Crusader off the table, and they can't trade with the Cloud Caller anymore. Well, I guess it's going to be trading. EMP would be a huge unit, but it would turn off all these provokes. So instead, Mushymango is going to get more provokes. So these gravity wells work for him now. Even with leftover mana for a 5th Canopic. No AoE options here other than dropping a unit and then immediately aspect of mounting and sending it, which doesn't do anything. Better play might be Firestarter and then Kinetic Surge, get a 2/2 that goes somewhere. But Kinetic Surge costs 10. Yes, this 5th Canopic being super annoying. But the replace has already been used, so it's stuck in hand. So the turn looks like it's Illusionist and then immediately mountainsing it. But the follow-up is death. Maybe dropping the Firestarter and the Illusionist just by themselves is good enough. Get more stuff on the board, right? Yeah. This plays into drawing good spells later. Chromatic Cold, pretty good spell. Maybe not for the situation. Lost in the Desert. That's showing up for Mushymango. This is a really nice finisher. In fact, it's a finisher right now, because if this Gravity Well dies, then the face is lost in the desert. And then this 5th Canopic can go in for the last 4 points of damage. Wait, no, you don't put that there. No! Wouldn't Sag go there? And then 5th Canopic hit the General for 4? Well, this looks pretty similar. Completely deletes the board. And 1 hit from death. So we may have had our first instance of Spot the Lethal. And there's no way out of this next turn lethal. Despite having the 1 turn, ends up drawing an Illusionist, and the face is out. 0-1! Mushymango taking game number 1. Nice stuff, which means Mushymango is going to be switching it over. Going to be seeing some Elena Cryobite now. We might see some more Kara, but we might also see some Starhorn. Depends which the better matchup he figures is. Going into game number 2. It is in fact Banner versus Magmar. And we got a lot of build options. Versus a lot of stunning. Can stall beat stall. Here's a 1/5 that draws cards. And just a mitt full of Grail Masters. Probably not looking to cast any of these legitimately. Mushymango with the wrong artifact. If this was the glove, the Ice Shatter Gauntlet, this building would be gone already. But this will be pretty useful later. So if you stun a building, but the building is completing next turn, what do you think? Is the ice going to fall off? Or is there a transform unit that's now stuck under ice? The answer is, transform units, ice fell off. So don't bother putting your debuffs on something that's turning into something else. We have a Giggleoth in the back. As we can see, it's kind of a buster. Some pretty good text on that thing. So going to want to see it built. Not a lot of ways for Mushymango to push damage to get rid of that. So instead, just gonna hit what can get hit. Because it pumps the whole team. His hand is overflowing. Probably wants to just drop another Gigaloth. Other option is dropping Architect to 4K5. But having 2 Gigaloth is twice as good as having 1, right? And Hydrogarm is really nice for lockdown. Unfortunately now, Mushymango is in range of Gigaloth. But fortunately, there's nothing for it to buff. So it's just a 7/7. The face is fine with this board. 7 to the face. Plus all this metal that you can't really get past. The stun strat actually doesn't work. Every single thing can be stunned, but they just come out of their buildings unharmed. And this is just the wrong artifact. This board would have been gone several turns ago with 1 gauntlet. Can't always draw the one you need though. So, working with the situation, buying as many turns as possible basically. But that does mean that this Gigaloth can now just hit one of these walls, pump the whole team up +3. Oh, here's the Ice Shatter Gauntlet. Now that everything's already built. And that clears the way to take out the Hydrogarm. Yeah, definitely need to play around these guys as if they're their live units when it says completing in 1 turns. Seismic for a tiny bit of chip damage and to make this wall kind of a more real minion. Probably gonna wanna... yeah, kills the TK. Knocks the card draw factory off. So Grailmaster does not get new keywords when units are built, but loves Apex. Building in the face, Gigaloth to pump up the whole team. As soon as this Grailmaster gets something like flying, it's over. Had a chance to kill the second Gigaloth, but opted to kill the TK instead, and now there's just 2 Gigaloth to deal with. Has 2/3 of the combo, so can't just abracadabra, the board is gone. Needs the Winter Blade. Get to draw a card from this transformation here. just needs to hold out to draw the full combo, and then we'll be able to take care of all these boom booms in front. And a silence for the Grailmaster in the back might be in order. Because if this thing just picks up a nasty keyword, the game is just done. Has enough mana to just drop Grandmaster Krygon. And here's range, so the game's actually just over in short order, unless a second Chromatic Cold can show up. It's probably just fine to stun the Grandmaster turn over turn. Assume you can do that. It's not fine what's going on with these Gigaloth though. So the silence actually hits the Grailmaster to stop the ranged. I would have figured you stun that and then silence the Krygon to turn off what's happening with Starhorn. Well, here's 2/3 the combo. Sample it against a giant robot dinosaur, perhaps? The result is the unit counterattacks for full damage. But the stun here, it immediately dies with the Ice Shadow Gauntlet. So a unit can be deleted per stun. And there's reactivations along the way. So in fact, this front row can be deleted. Because the missing part of the combo can just be improvised with all these cards. Pretty slick move. And there's even an answer for the silliness that's going on. EMP is the perfect card. But that's not going to be it to just win the game, so Mushymango biding time to wait for an even bigger hit. Because now this Juggernaut can get got. Unfortunately, Juggernaut is just a huge threat, so it's going to have to be respected with an Icy. Very nice replace. It's necessary to cast EMP first, because you don't want to dispel your ice. Uh-oh. Well, Mushymango has spotted a way to grant another turn, but has a couple eggs to deal with that kind of mucked up the plan. And only has enough actions to kill the one. Because the third piece of the combo would have auto-stunned each time, so you can just keep swinging. Third piece never showed up at all. It's somewhere in that bottom half. Well fought game. It's gonna be another turn though. Now there it is, Celebrant with the final tap. Showing off the cool third Krygon. Tying up the series 1-1. So next game is it. Yeah, and since Starhorn won that one specifically, we're going to be seeing Elena versus Kara, the Vinar showdown. Which deck is cooler? Let's take a look. That Blood Tora costs so much mana towards the end. The face with the opener. Bunch of Circuluses and a Gravity Well. This is a really nice start that you like to see. Mushymango also got some good short stuff, or small drops, and this Mage Sworn to mess up the BBS. And the other deck with the 5th Canopic. Pretty good lockdowns all around. As for the play, the Disciple of Yugdra is now this value minion that you don't just want to tempo out there and lose, because it drawing a card is a pretty big deal. So it's time for some ice. Refreshes the BBS, but doesn't use it, opting not to slow the Circulus's movement by 1. The turn here looks like it could be Circulus plus Gravity Well, Illusionist in the back. Circulus Gravity Well overflows your deck with 2/1, so it might be weaker in the long run. But also it seems awesome. Hydreigon's got a pretty good hit here lined up. Really nice pinging for 2. And there's no way for this Hydreigon to be dealt with. So it's just gonna keep deleting these tokens. A lot of token production. This Kara deck doing a good impersonation of a Lilith deck. Many tokens. Having 1 Circulus out is excellent, but having 2 Circuluses out, sometimes this happens. Mushymango relieving the face of that though. Disciple and the immediate stun. It's usually how you want to do it. Because even if it gets bumped back to your hand, you don't care because it's a 3-mana 5/5 at this point. These Crystal Wisps always showing up way too late. And the Cloud Caller actually doesn't do anything because you need the extra mana for the Water Ball. So just playing something kind of towards the Hydreigon. Might find some value out of this Crystal Wisp anyway. So just plays it to dump the hand. And here's that Winterblade. Where was this last game? Yugdra pushing in for some mighty damage. excellent thing to be tangling with because you can just full heal it. Speaking of which, and this Hydra Garm is so protected. It's gonna take a water ball to take care of it, even though it's got 1 hit point. Maybe a fire starter Spellspark can get there. Has a 1 in 4 chance that a kinetic surge will spawn a unit in just the right spot for an aspect of the mountains to hit, but loses that coin flip so hard. Went for it. Maybe the play now is Cloud Call or Water Ball. Eat this. Nasty back row unit. And the BBS doing some pretty good work here, putting the Cloud Caller out of range of the Yggdra Voracity. Top priority is probably taking out the Illusionist. But the Illusionist could also just be EMP'd later. EMP'd now? Nah, we're gonna stun to heal this. And just equip some stuff right in his face. Pretty good use of the gauntlet. This thing is pretty key to the whole combo to keep your pips from falling off, because no counterattacks. This Trinity Wing needs empty slots in hand to function. Draws a Hydra Garm of his own, but doesn't have the BBS now to use it. Getting transformed back from Water Ball doesn't just refresh it. Definitely needs that Water Ball though. And then with 2/2-1s can look to jail either the Veracity or the General. Probably standing right here to protect the Circulus. Have that protect instead. The Tigris is a really fun part of the combo, because for each hit you do, you spawn a cub. Le Tiger might be the play anyway, it's just so good. Especially because it can deal with this Cloud Caller pretty quickly. The problem though is there's no stunning options for Mushymango aside from equipping this Winter Blade, which makes Litigris too expensive at that point. And without the Scythe, there's no reactivation after a chop down. So your thing is just going to fall off the next turn. So that can't be the play. EMP actually kind of works because it would frag the Ice Shatter Gauntlet. But there's another one. Aspect of Mountains doesn't do anything because this is already a 5/5. Could be cast on an enemy, just as damage. Okay, Winter Blade to heal the Veracity is pretty nice. Still has a problem of the artifact falling off if everything comes into it. So that's gotta be the play now. There's some good stuff in here. Firestarter loves it when there's a Bloodbound Mentor already out. First things first though, this artifact suite needs to go. And the face finds an excellent aspect of mountains. With the immediate lockdown, Mushymango's in a pickle. EMP kind of waves away the situation though. Counterspell. Still a 5-1 to deal with, but that could be put on ice. And at this point in the game, the stun refreshes every turn, so that's an optional perma-stun. Going for the quick kill though, just so a Dispel doesn't muck with that. A lot of damage has to be put onto this EMP to get rid of it. But it doesn't seem like lethal is possible this turn, so I think that has to be the play. Or put down 2 Bloodborne Mentors. Bloodbound Mentors. So as much junk as possible between EMP and Kara, and setting up for a killer next turn. This Firestarter is going to be absolutely lit. Three damage to everything. Pretty good timing. And EMP pushing for a ton of damage. But I don't think that EMP is hitting a second time. Gonna have to find damage elsewhere to close out the game. Should be able to draw into it with these pretty good Trozz engines. Disciple just kind of existing. It's got the EMP for cover, so the owls can't hit it. But with 2 Bloodbound Mentors, we're going to see a Firestarter placed. And a lot of kinetic surging. I don't agree on the placement of the Firestarter though. I think it would be better being above the general instead of there. But this is actually a gigantic overkill. Check out this kill option. The fire is here. Giant bonfire to send Mushymango out of the tournament. Congratulations, Indubitablement. Making it to the next round. Grats. And with that, we've got our next matches known. As in the first match of the day, we had Kopiuyt advance. So Kopiuyt's going to be the lone upper bracket finalist. Whoever of everyone else who's left is going to have to take this Kopiuyt down in 2 best-of-3s. And as for who's going to be in the lower bracket, the face, we've only got 4 people left in the tournament. Colexiel versus Indubitablement is going to be the next lower bracket match. The winner of that is going to be facing Agent Cypher of 19. Winner of that is in the finals. We're pretty close. We're wrapping up DGG 05 before 4 at this rate. Alright, all. It's been great. It's been fun. See you all next time. Have a good evening, /day, / all that.